Have you ever felt like your company has a bad case of amnesia? Well, today we're going to dive into a really cool concept called Unicorn.BOS. And no, it's not an operating system for your laptop. Think of it as an OS for your company's collective brain. We're talking about how to build an organization that actually truly learns.
And it all kicks off with this really powerful idea you see here. Every company has data. Very few have memory. Just let that sink in for a second. I mean, we are absolutely drowning in data, right? But what good is any of it if we can't remember the lessons it's already taught us? That's the huge problem we're going to.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to diagnose the problem of what we're calling the forgetting company. Then we'll get into the AI paradox. Why just throwing more tech at this isn't really working. After that, we'll hit a breakthrough insight that points us toward the solution, the organizational memory system. And finally, we'll wrap up with why this matters now more than ever before.
All right, let's jump in with part one, the forgetting company. I have a feeling this is a condition that a lot of us are going to find painfully familiar. It's that feeling of déjà vu at the office, where it seems like you're stuck in a time loop, solving the exact same problems over and over again. And here it is, the brutal, honest truth in one sentence. For most growing organizations, the company simply forgets faster than it learns. I mean, think about it. New people come in, projects change, priorities shift, and all those valuable lessons just get lost. It's like you're constantly trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom.
So what does this corporate amnesia actually look like? I'm willing to bet a few of these are going to ring a bell. How about that one critical system that goes down like clockwork every 6 months? Or that strategic decision that gets debated and redebated every single quarter? And oh, the big one, a really talented person leaves and suddenly a huge chunk of their knowledge just walks right out the door with them. The crazy part is, our AI tools are getting smarter every day, but the organization as a whole just feels stuck.
But here's the real kicker, the hidden cost of all this. We always focus on the cost of new problems, right? But the truth is, the most expensive problem you have is almost always the one you've already solved and paid for. Paying to relearn a lesson you already learned the hard way, it's just a massive, unnecessary drain. And that leads us perfectly into our second big idea, the AI paradox. You see, we've thrown all this incredible technology, especially AI, at our businesses. But are we actually getting wiser? Or are we just getting faster at making the same old mistakes? Which really brings us to this fundamental question. With all the hype and, let's be honest, the incredible advancements in AI, why aren't our companies getting proportionately smarter? There's a huge disconnect between what the tech can do and what our organizations are actually experiencing. And here's why. AI without memory is really just fast guessing. Sure, it's got immense processing power, but it has zero long-term context about your organization. It doesn't remember that heated debate from 2 years ago that led to a key decision. It has no idea why you chose a certain technology. It's just missing the backstory.
You see, we have to get this crucial distinction right. Piles of data are not the same thing as memory, and a powerful AI on its own is not true intelligence. You can have a mountain of data and not an ounce of wisdom to show for it. Okay, so if throwing more data and faster AI at the problem isn't the answer, then what is? Well, that brings us to the breakthrough insight. Your real competitive advantage, your moat, isn't your tech stack, it's your memory. I love this quote because it just nails it. Memory compounds, features don't. Think about it. Anybody can go out and copy a software feature. A competitor can build a similar tool. But you know what no one can copy? Your organization's unique history. All its mistakes, its wins, its hard-won lessons. That is an asset that only grows more valuable over time. What we're really talking about here is a huge mental shift. The old way was all about AI features to optimize little tasks. The new way is about building organizational intelligence that compounds wisdom. We're moving from an AI-first mindset to a memory-first one. Instead of constantly starting over, we learn from our history. And it's not about replacing humans, it's about empowering their judgment with real historical context.
Okay, that all sounds great, but if the goal is to build a company with this kind of compounding memory, how in the world do you actually do it? Well, that brings us to the solution, an organizational memory system. So what is Unicorn.BOS exactly? The simplest way to think about it is as the memory and intelligence layer for your whole company. It's a system designed to capture all your real-world experience and then transform it into clean, traceable, and super valuable knowledge. And just to be crystal clear, let's talk about what it isn't.
It is not another chatbot that has no clue what happened last Tuesday. It's not a rigid, clunky ERP system, and it's not just another passive dashboard you look at once a month. Most importantly, it is not just another isolated AI feature. It's the system that gives all your other tools and AIs the memory and context they're missing. So how does it actually work? Well, the process is pretty simple and powerful. First, you capture the important stuff, key events, big decisions, and their outcomes. Then, you curate all that information, filtering out the noise to find the signal. Next, you remember it, storing that knowledge in a way that's always traceable so you know the why behind the what. And finally, you can advise your team, using AI to generate suggestions that are actually grounded in your company's real, lived history.
So, what's the big payoff here? Why is building this kind of organizational memory so unbelievably critical, right here, right now? Let's break it down. Well, the cool thing is, the win looks a little different for everyone at the top. For a CEO, it's about making big decisions with actual context and, building a company that literally gets smarter every year. For a CTO, it's about stopping that slow architectural decay and keeping AI both auditable and safe. And for a COO, it's about finally, breaking that cycle of recurring problems and being able to scale operations without just scaling the chaos along with. And believe me, the urgency is real. The cost of forgetting is just skyrocketing. Why? Well, for one, our teams are changing faster than ever. Our systems are becoming so complex, it's mind-boggling. And AI is accelerating everything. And that includes our ability to make the same old mistakes, but now at machine speed. This next quote just hits the nail on the head. If you don't build memory now, you'll automate confusion later. I mean, just imagine plugging a super powerful AI into a system that has no understanding of its own history. That is a recipe for absolute disaster at scale. So let's be clear about who this is for. It's not for every single company out there. It's specifically for those complex, growing organizations that are hitting that painful point, that feeling where you're starting to forget things faster than you can learn them. That's the inflection point, where a system like this goes from a nice-to-have to being absolutely critical. And really, this is the whole vision. It's not about being perfect tomorrow. It's about making progress that actually compounds, day after day, decision after decision, building on a solid foundation of everything you've already learned. And I just want to leave you with this one last thought. In a world that is obsessed with speed, where everything is getting faster and faster, the ultimate competitive advantage might not be about moving the fastest. It might just be about being the one who doesn't have to keep starting over from scratch. Because the companies that don't repeat their mistakes, they will always eventually win.